Hi, my name is Omar Solis Acuna. I'm currently majoring in biochemistry. I'm planning to graduate this May 2022, and my tribal affiliation is Yaqui. It was a non-unspoken expectation in my family to pursue higher education. I remember growing up, my family used to load all of us children in their beat up white van and take us to various outreach programs such as the library or national parks. With all the sacrifices my parents made, it really urged my siblings to pursue a higher education. Me and my sister, we were the odd ones in our family because we chose U of A to attend while my brothers attend ASU. U of A was my top choice because it was far enough for privacy, but yet close enough. And if any time I missed my mom's cooking, I was able to drive back and taste the red chili and tamales. STEM dominated my life because my parents always nagged my siblings to pursue a STEM career because it was the safest and the smartest choice to do. I picked biochemistry because it combined my love for biology and chemistry, and so biochemistry was the perfect choice for me. So my parents are always going to be my role models because it's always mind-blowing for me how they were able to send all the children to higher education. You have to remember my parents started living in a one bedroom with three of my brothers, and sometimes we were so poor that we had to go to the food banks. So for them to watch us earning degrees is really show how much sacrifices they made for my siblings. Another role models I met was through U of A. I met Dr. Sarah Chedevilla, Dr. Michael Johnson, Dr. Amanda Jeremiah, and Dr. Corey Knox. All these people have been my cheerleaders from the day one. They always instilled confidence in me and my goals. Furthermore, they're also the minority, so they had to go through the same thing I'm going through. So that common ground really showed me that if they can do it, I can do it too. And I was fortunate enough to be part of their projects such as Native Soul, which stands for Student Outreach and Resiliency, ANSWERP, which is National Summer Undergraduate Research Project, and Linking Southwest Heritage through Archaeology, because all of these programs are opening doors for the minorities and making resources more accessible for them. Stress and high expectations of myself have always been an obstacle. I think as a brown person, I feel more pressure to succeed in order to provide for my family. And I think this is a reality for many minorities, giving back to the family, because many of the time they had to sacrifice to put their children through higher education. I was able to accomplish this through the strong support network, as I mentioned before, Dr. Cheravia, Johnson, Jeremiah, and Knox. That all of these people are always there for me when I have to talk to them about my struggles, and they always give me insightful advice. For the longest time, I didn't know what Native American meant to me. And what I mean by that was I was clouded with ignorance growing up. I grew up in the suburbs, so Native American wasn't really talked about. And furthermore, I went to a high school that was predominantly Hispanic and Mexican American, so I was just identified as Mexican American because my mom, she has ties with Chihuahua, Mexico. However, I was darker and my face was more social than most of my classmates. However, my dad kept insisting that we had ties with Yaqui. He always told stories about his family being in the Sonora Valley before Arizona was even a state. And they would go around the crops according to the seasons. And he always tells stories about growing up in Guadalupe. And during his time, Guadalupe was just bare. Nothing was even there. So his family was responsible for bringing plumbing and water to that area. He always talked about his farm, pigs, and hunting quails and eating quails, and how much he's missed that. And he also talked about his grandpa who was able to speak Yaqui fluently, which is very hard to do. And as a child, I didn't really take that seriously because my identity did not matter. However, only when I attended University of Arizona, that's when I started to realize, okay, I have to take my identity seriously. I have to take my heritage seriously. And for the very first time I was being recognized as indigenous, people used to come up to me and say, are you have, indigenous blood. And that's when I started to realize, I do have indigenous blood. And for the very first time, I realized that, red chili and potato salad was not a weird thing my mom used to make. It's a common staple in many native cultures. And the very first time I realized that I'm Mexican American and Pascua Yaqui. Here at U of A, I was fortunate enough to forge many relationships and interactions with the Native community. And a common staple in the Native community is land. Land is celebrated by many tribes. Therefore, I try to be mindful and ground myself every time I enter a place, trying to remember the stories and significance that encompass that place. And for example, when I do my research in Dr. Johnson's lab, I try to remember what these land meant for my tribe and for the Optum tribe. Furthermore, I want to be able to integrate storytelling in research. There's a big gap between the public and the science community because most of the time the science is just communicated through long articles, which can be very daunting for the public. Therefore, I want to be able to tell the research I'm doing at Dr. Johnson Lab in a way that's a story that's able to engage with the audience, that's able to show them, this is what I'm doing, this is the effects of it, so they'll be able to understand it. Because I think if the public's able to understand it, it would be a greater good for society. So my plans after graduation is currently I'm planning to teach Arizona. I have an interview tomorrow, so hopefully it goes well. I want to become a high school science teacher, and the reason why I want to become a teacher is I want to change how science is taught. For when I was an undergrad at the University of Arizona, I felt a disconnection between my STEM classes because the professor would just talk about white science or European science. They didn't really talk about the Americas. Therefore, I want to change that. I want to incorporate the connection or the ideas of native tribes, such as storytelling and making use of the land. I think by exposing this connection, students are able to form personal connections with these science concepts, and they'll be able to become more motivated to pursue a career in the STEM field. And personally, I think the STEM field needs a lot more Black, Indigenous, and people of color scientists. Can you imagine in a world where science can incorporate all those perspectives? I feel like it will lead the society to a greater good and to more possibilities beyond our reach.